Hey guys, welcome back to the page. My name is Junior Fight, ex-professional boxer, fight analyst. So, with the fight being on the weekend of Joseph Parker losing to Fabio Wardley somewhat controversially, I want to go over a few things that I saw during the fight. The fight itself I thought was great competitive rounds. I predicted competitive rounds in this fight. Something I want to bring up is what people were saying before the fight, because they compared Justice Huni to Joseph Parker, and I thought that was wrong, because down here in New Zealand we know how good Justice Huni is, and technically I think he's better than Joseph Parker. That's why we saw what we saw when Justice Huni fought Fabio Wardley. He hardly got hit by Fabio Wardley. He was completely schooling Wardley until he got caught at the end and then failed to make the count. With this fight, I knew Joseph Parker was a completely different fighter compared to Justice Huni. He's not as technically gifted like Justice Huni. Justice Huni is very explosive, very elusive, but doesn't punch as hard as Joseph Parker. So I was expecting some competitive rounds, and that's what we got. So we got some competitive rounds here and there, especially in the second round when we saw Fabio Wardley hurt Joseph Parker. Throughout the whole fight, basically, we saw Fabio Wardley on the back foot. Joseph Parker kept on pushing the pace and kept trying to take out Wardley, which I think may have backfired in the end, because it was very clear that Joseph Parker and his team weren't there to win the fight. They were there to hurt Fabio, and they were there to take him out, because every time Fabio Wardley kind of took a clean shot, Joseph Parker will be right there following up with a second phase and a third phase with big combination punches, and most of them landing. One of the things that I said before the fight was I wonder how tough Wardley is, and he's proven to be very tough. You kind of know now that you shouldn't go in there to try to knock him out, even though he seems to get hit easily. Maybe go in there with the plan to win the fight on points rather than taking him out. After that second round, I think from round 2 to round 9, I think that was all Joseph Parker, or the vast majority of those rounds went to Joseph Parker. He kind of took control. As I said before, every time he landed a clean punch on Fabio, he would follow up straight away. So it looked like he was going for the finish. And then on round 10, that's where we saw a little bit of a drop in his performance. And it felt like he was perhaps feeling the pace, because at the end of round 9, I noticed that Joseph Parker looked a little bit tired. And then round 10, he came in looking tired. Obviously, Wardley got a bit of momentum on that round. He hurt Joseph Parker right at the end of that round with an uppercut, and then followed up with some punches. And then round 11 is ultimately when the fight got stopped. Controversial, I guess so, but the way it looked, Joseph Parker was getting kind of pinned up on the ropes. There was a lot of unanswered shots, some shots coming through, a lot of shots missing, but still there's a guy pressing you against the ropes for a very long time, and he's throwing to take your head off your shoulders, and if too many get through, it's much better for a ref to be too early than too late. And so the way that it was looking when once Fabio Wardley got Joseph Parker on the ropes on the 11th round, the way it was looking as each second went by, you could feel the end coming. You know what I mean? You could feel like, oh crap, I think the referee's going to stop it soon. That's what it felt like. So when the referee came in and stopped it, it was kind of no surprise to those who follow boxing a bit closer, because what I've seen so far online is the people that are criticizing it are more of like the pundits and more just the fans and stuff. Like actual boxers, we aren't really questioning it, because this is what we usually see before a fight is stopped. When a fight gets stopped, it looks like this. It looks like someone's on the ropes getting beaten up for about 20 seconds, and then the referee steps in, and that's what we saw. So when we saw it live, we expected, or we weren't going to be surprised if the referee steps in, and the referee did step in. Even though I am not surprised at the stoppage, I think Parker was okay to carry on. So I'm kind of on both sides, you know what I mean? I think Parker could have carried on, but I'm not surprised that the referee stopped it, because that's how stoppages look. From this fight, we now know how tough Wardley is. Wardley is freaking tough. He's a tough man. I think Fabio Wardley must have the best chin in boxing. He's a big talent. He's someone who shouldn't be where he is because of the experience that he has. He comes from a corporate background, so a white collar boxing. So to us down here, it's called corporate boxing. That's where just professionals come in and give it a go. And then he comes into the pros. Obviously, Dillian White and Frank Warren saw something in him early, which is why they signed him. So, and I guess now we're seeing what they saw. Toughness, grit, the passion for the sport, a chin, and that devastating power. All of that combined. Very, very, very gifted fighter. I wouldn't call him skillful just yet, because you see how unmatched he is in that department when he goes in with these other fighters. He doesn't match their skill, he matches their will. And he's right there with him on that will, but he does have enough skills to keep him, I guess, to keep him on his feet and to keep them at bay. It will be interesting to see where he goes from here. Is it going to be Usyk? I don't know. I won't be too surprised if it is Usyk, and I will not be surprised if it's not Usyk, because I still think he does have some proving to do before he fights for the undisputed. Oh my gosh, that's insane. That is insane for someone like him. So with Joseph Parker, I think one of the worst things that's happened to his career, especially recently, is Frank Warren. Frank Warren, as much as he likes Joseph Parker, and he is his promoter, and he's a very good promoter, it's very obvious to see that he's not a priority, not at all. And it was very, very obvious when he was supposed to fight Dubois, and then Dubois pulled out of the fight because he was sick. Do we know that? I don't know. I don't believe it. I think he completely ducked Parker to try and go for the undisputed. A very calculated business move, but a duck nonetheless. So once he done that, and Parker still fought, because that's what he's supposed to do. He fought and he took out Piccoli, and he was gifted nothing. But what actually happened was that the guy that pulled out was gifted the freaking golden goose. He was gifted the undisputed title and the undisputed fight with Usyk. That was supposed to be the winner between Parker and Dubois. But then Dubois and his team, I guess, they thought maybe the risk was a bit too much. Let's just pull out and just go straight to the undisputed fight. Why not? So I thought that was just diabolical, really. And with Frank Warren being both of their promoters, I guess he didn't care, because at least he's involved with with the undisputed fight. So you get all these guys getting opportunities. You get Fabio Wardley getting a lot of opportunities. You get Daniel Dubois getting a lot of opportunities. You have Tyson Fury getting a lot of opportunities. And you have Parker in the background just waiting for his turn, even though he was right there. He was literally next to fight Usyk, and he could have waited, but good on him for not waiting, because you don't really want to wait too long in between fights. And Parker is very good when he's busy. I very much stand with the statement that I think the biggest thing, I think probably one of the worst things that happened to him was probably Frank Warren, because of how he doesn't prioritize Parker at all. You see this, and we all see this right before our eyes, and Parker's even mentioned this in interviews before, where he talks about himself not getting the opportunities that the other fighters have because he's from New Zealand and Samoa, and the other guys are local fighters. They are British. They are under a British promotion. Joseph Parker is not British, and so he doesn't really get the opportunities that they get. He also said in the interview, he also said that, hey, they don't give a crap about you, really. And he's spot on, especially in his case. So regardless, now that he's lost to Fabio Wardley, what's going to be next? They've called for a rematch. Not an official call out, but they have shown interest in the rematch. Both of them have. Should there be a rematch? I think there should be. There's a lot of unanswered questions with Fabio Wardley. But one of them was definitely answered. He's very, very tough, and he carries that power throughout the whole fight. So I think a rematch would be great. It would be cool if Frank Warren lets that happen. Will he? Personally, I don't think so. I think Frank Warren wants to be involved in another big unification, undisputed fight. So I think he's literally going to go for the undisputed fight, because those guys are all about this, right? They're all about money. You're going to get a lot more money when you fight Usyk than fighting Parker. I think that most of us would be more interested in watching a rematch than fighting Usyk. But hey, regardless, I think they will probably go for the undisputed, and I think Parker just puts him in a real interesting position right now, because there's a lot of names to fight. Joshua's another great fight for him, possibly. So there's Joshua. You could even go as low as Dave Allen. There's Hrgovic. There's David Adelaide. There's Lawrence Okoli. So you have all these names there that he could potentially fight. Maybe even Derek Chisora. Maybe he beats him up for a third time, because he was talking some crap to Joseph Parker that one time, and I couldn't stand it, bro. I couldn't stand the crap he was talking to Joseph Parker, especially after he whooped him twice. So Parker whooped him twice, especially in the second one. The second one was when we were all telling Derek Chisora to retire, because we just saw a big one-sided beating. And then Derek Chisora just goes ahead and talks his crap in front of Joseph Parker, talking crap about Joseph Parker in his face. Maybe a third fight. I don't know. We'll see, man. But anyway, that's me. Junior 5, ex-professional boxer, fight analyst. See you guys later.